Hello, everyone in the multiverse and beyond. This is your friend forever, Evan Lefavor, with an important video. Today, we're going to be talking about the truth, about the fact that original sin is a lie. All right, there is no such thing as original sin. Okay, it is a lie that people are born with original sin. Okay, but people are not born evil. They are not born sinners. The truth is, everyone is born pure and innocent. Evil has to be taught to them. It's not something they're born with, like the people who came up with original sin would lead you to believe. Okay? But they sell you this idea of original sin so that they can sell you redemption, so that you can find redemption through them. And how do they say you are redeemed? They say you are redeemed of original sin by murdering Jesus Christ. So they're trying to use original sin as a way to brainwash you into thinking murdering Jesus Christ was some sacrifice to take away that sin. All right? And it's all one big evil lie. Okay? The story of Adam and Eve is a fictional fairy tale. There was no Garden of Eden. There is no Garden of Eden. There is no tree of the knowledge of good and evil. There is no talking snake. And there were no Adam and Eve running around naked in the garden. Okay? The entire story is a fictional fairy tale. It never happened. And if you believe it is that it is true and that Adam and Eve actually happened and they actually existed in the Garden of Eden, then I suggest having your mental health checked out, because that is crazy to believe that the fictional story of Adam and Eve actually happened. Okay? But they carefully crafted and reworked the story of Adam and Eve to come up with this idea of original sin. And they have this talking snake in the Garden of Eden that tricks them into eating the fruit of the knowledge of good and evil, which God commanded them they must not eat from the knowledge of good and evil tree. They must not eat the fruit of the knowledge of good and evil tree. All right? So they came up with the story of this snake. And nowhere in the Bible does it say that this snake is Satan. But somehow people have stretched the truth so far that they think that they can say that this talking snake was Satan, when in the Bible it says nothing about the talking snake being Satan. It's just a talking snake. Okay, you can believe that it was Satan if you want. But like I said, these events never happened anyway. So it wasn't Satan. There was no talking snake. But they say that this talking snake tricked Adam and Eve into eating the forbidden fruit, the knowledge of good and evil. All right? So it's all a lie. And then they say that God cursed them, and so that everyone would be born with original sin to pay the price for them disobeying God. It's all propaganda to make God look evil, okay? And it's all propaganda to try to make you think that Jesus Christ's murder was a good thing, because it was some blood sacrifice to take away the original sin of mankind. Okay? But it's all bullshit. It's all a fictional fairy tale. All right? And the whole story of the knowledge of the fruit of good and evil, the fruit of the knowledge of good and evil, it's all a lie. Okay? And the reason they tell this lie of original sin is to get you to feel bad about yourself, even if you're a good person. They try to convince you that you were born evil, and that is an evil lie. You were not born evil, okay? You were born pure and innocent, okay? That is the truth among the lies. All right. Original sin is a dirty, evil lie, and you shouldn't fall for it. And if you know anybody that does believe in original sin, please show them this video. Let their minds get opened up to the truth about what's really going on in this universe, okay? Because the people that murdered Jesus Christ, they fabricated his story. The Romans that murdered Jesus are the same Romans that put together the New Testament, that put together the Bible as we know it today. And those Romans carefully crafted the story of Jesus Christ to make it sound like his murder was some blood sacrifice to atone for the sins of mankind. And that is an evil lie. And the reason they tell that evil lie is because they connect it back to the story of Adam and Eve and original sin. So it's a lie based on another lie based on another lie. All right? Jesus Christ was real. He is real. All right? But what you see about him in the Bible is not an accurate portrayal of what happened when he was on this planet. Okay? Because, in case you didn't know, back when Jesus Christ was alive, there were no tape recorders, there were no webcams, there were no video cameras, there was no notebooks, there were no pens, there were no nothing to allow someone to follow him around and write down everything he says. All right? There was no one following Jesus Christ around writing down everything he says. All right? Because it was impossible to do that back in the day. So when you think about it, in the Bible, the New Testament wasn't written till over 100 years after Jesus Christ was murdered. And it was written by people who had never met Jesus Christ one day in their lives. Okay? So when you read the New Testament, it is not direct quotes from Jesus. Okay? It's all embellished by the writers to further their agenda. Okay? Because they murdered Jesus so that they could control the story of Jesus. All right? It's as simple as that. So that is why they've carefully crafted this lie about original sin. So don't believe it. Now you know the truth. That original sin is an evil lie. So don't fall for that. You were born pure and innocent. Okay? You were not born evil. You have nothing to repent about. Okay? Because it's just the truth. And now you know the truth. So this is your friend forever, Evan Lefavor, and I will see you next video. Until then, stay safe and have a good day. Bye-bye.